यहाँ #1 रहना एक जरूरत है। ये जंग जीतना हर एक टीम का सपना है और इस सपने को पाने के लिए ये अपना सब कुछ दांव पर लगाने को तैयार है। Pakistan is ready for the ultimate action.
Well, hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching the PubG Mobile Pro League Pakistan Fall Split 2022, of course, brought to you by Oppo. Now we're here, day number 3 of week number 3, and it is all going on, all the action and masala, which I have really missed out on yesterday. Thankful to the Gurgaon rains that we've been having here lately.
Exactly.
But joining along with me is going to be Blotter, who's going to tell me all about yesterday's game. So how are you?
Well, first of all, I'm doing absolutely fabulous. And along with that, as you mentioned, right, this is week 3. And in that, it is a very critical week because
Right.
if the teams are not able to get themselves in the top 16, then we are going to have to bid them adieu. And of course, the grand finals, only top 16 will qualify. And when we talk about the leaderboard itself, you'll have a look.
Yeah.
There is a stark difference being created over there as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of things that we really did not expect has been happening through the course of this week as we see all these teams that were on the very bottom battled out. It's like their last breath, the last hurrah that they're trying to make it inside the top 16. But yeah, of course, it's also about the prize money, right? $100,000 on the line, the first position getting $10,000, the second 6.5, third 4.5, and so on. It goes on. And the tournament MVP, they're also going to get $1,000 to themselves, and for the league series it's going to be just the same. That's going to be $2,500 per team. But more than that, Lakshay, you know, I've been yearning to talk about all these teams. So many teams, you know, like Regicide, Freestyle, H2E, all making their mark up, and they're getting all those points. And yeah, of course, to get those chicken dinners, this is the point structure. I mean, it's been quite stunning. We are slowly witnessing a little bit of a change. Maybe in the upcoming editions of the PMPLs, we might get to see that happening. But for now, I mean, this has been going on for maybe around like 2 years right now, and it's been pretty consistent. Teams have gotten themselves acclimatized to this kind of a point structure. Nothing really fancy, but yeah, this is what it is.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, as you mentioned, of course, right now, the prize pool definitely is going to be helping them out. It is definitely going to be keeping the momentum's up. But again, when it comes down to the storyboard itself, things definitely have taken a different toll this time around in this week 3. Where, of course, as you mentioned, the teams that were underperforming initially when this entire journey started off, they have just picked up the baton and are just moving along with a very difficult force that needs to be reckoned with. But on the other front, again, we see a difference in terms of the teams that were performing initially now are falling down, like big names, right? We've got Bablu, I8, who for this week 3 we've seen a downfall from their side.
I mean, yeah, of course, Bablu finally, you know, getting a chicken dinner yesterday. A little bit of
yes.
you know, respite for these lads. But it's just not Bablu, like you said, you know, it's the big names, teams like I8 that are way down at the 16th position. And I mean, it's pretty evident that they're going to head in to the grand finals. That's no one stopping them over there. But, you know, this difference between Magnus and I8 is slowly starting to increase a lot. And there you can see, right, I8 really falling down a little bit and Magnus taking that top spot. And they haven't looked back ever since, you know, especially from week number 2. They have been on a pristine form, and they've been rolling throughout the lobby, even if not getting any chicken dinners in this particular week. You know, it's the consistency and the amount of finishes that quite justifies how good they are as a team.
Absolutely. Along with that, another name I will want to mention, in fact, player that I would want to mention is from the side of team TUF, Edgar. Yesterday, he got back-to-back MVPs. Again, a very well-oiled team is what we've seen from the side of TUF in terms of the way that they've taken those fights and converted them. And along with that, it's clearly evident right here in the overall ranking that we can see they're sitting on the third spot with only one chicken dinner. So a lot of consistent play that has brought them to this stage right now. But of course, from this we move on to the second page now. That is where I would like, of course, the viewers to keep a keen eye towards the points themselves, because there is a little bit of a difference between that 16th team, that is going to be Meteor Shot X Sky with 285 points. Following them is TFT, Team Faulty Devils, with 244. So there is a little gap that needs to be covered for the teams that are on the 17th and below.
Oh yeah, I mean this is what we've been talking about, right? This is all that week number 3 stands for. But like you said already, you know, the top 16 teams are going to qualify. And for the Faulty Devils, Triple Esports, 52 and TMW, they do not have a lot of matches. In fact, if I'm not wrong, it's just 12 games remaining. And in those 12 games, they have to ensure that these for somebody needs to get inside the top 16. Otherwise, you know, the buck stops at Meteor Shot Sky, and we finally have our top 16 heading on into the grand finals. And more than that, you know, we also do have that extra bonus map of Livik, which is going to happen day after, or around Monday,
Indeed.
if I'm not wrong. But regardless, you know, of whatever is happening right now, it is all about, you know, these 4 teams trying and hustling their way up, because if they do not do that, the journey in this PMPL will stand over. I mean, it was a long week, right? We've been having so many games. 48 games have already been played throughout the league stages, and now here onwards just 12 remain. But you know, a few comparisons being drawn upon Quraysh Esports, a team that really started off with a banger, but yesterday, you know, it was just that third position finish that is something really much to talk about. There was also a fourth, maybe. No, in fact, yesterday wasn't quite good for them. You know, Quraysh has been struggling, barring that first day where they got 2 chicken dinners, and then now we've seen them falter down. And it is, of course, 52 Esports, the defending champions. However, they have gotten a little bit of consistency in terms of their positioning, but not in terms of their finishes.
True, for 52 Esports. In fact, when you talk about 52 Esports in the same breath as Quraysh Esports, it is so on point because yesterday that's exactly what 52 Esports were able to do against Quraysh Esports, and were able to knock them down, were able to get those points for themselves. But overall, again, there is a stark difference that can be seen here, and it is a downfall, of course. It is a massive downfall for this team right now. But again, there is definitely today, tomorrow, and day after, the 3-day that are available for them, if they can just somehow recreate those perfect moments that they showcased in, of course, week 3's day 1. Perhaps there is still a little bit of a storyline that can be changed for Quraysh.
I hope so, because now, you know, even if you're comparing how day 1 and day 2 went, you could see that huge difference, right? Especially day number 1, those 2 chicken dinners, and did accumulate a lot of points, but then right after, it has been a journey down, and it's sort of a roller coaster for them, and they haven't really been faring that well. And today is going to be the day where we kind of have more clarity on what's going on with Quraysh Esports, why that sort of a downfall in their performance, because, you know, we could see the difference, right? It was a stark difference, and it's something that was clearly not pleasing to all the Quraysh fans, because first day, I think it was the rise of Quraysh Esports started from week number 2, when they slowly started being really consistent, and then they carried forward that momentum. But after that, we witnessed that, you know, huge surge or a spike in day number 1's performance. But then after, in day number 2, it was a different story altogether. It felt like it was a different Quraysh that we had seen maybe during week number 1.
Exactly. That is so on point, definitely, because the fights that they were part of yesterday, they were just not able to convert those fights for themselves. All 4 players were standing right there in front and still were not able to synergistically, as we've seen them take on fights.
Yeah.
They were completely lackluster in terms of their approach. But today again is a new day. Today is another very critical, important day for the team. So we'll have to again keep our fingers crossed that today perhaps they can bring in the perfect gameplay for themselves, and of course walk away with a lot of points. But along with all of that, again, as we were mentioning, right, when it comes down to this week, well, only 16 teams are moving forth, and of course from that, on that finally on Monday, of course, we are also going to be looking forward to the top 12 teams for week 3, from which it seems like I8 might not be able to participate.
I mean,
Yeah, right. It is unexpected storyline change
let's
in
just hope for
Pakistan
the
PMPL.
best. I mean,
Yeah,
see, like we already discussed, right? I8 has qualified for the grand finals.
Yes.
All the I8 fans can be rest assured. But we have been talking about the momentum, right? Every single time you need to keep building it up, like something what Magnus has been doing, right? They haven't
Exactly.
faltered even a little bit. But looking at I8, they're all in shambles, and it's a cause of concern for me. Now, this is a massive difference. Look at the survival time. Now, this is where it all comes down. It all boils down to almost around 18 minutes, 22 minutes. No, in those 4 minutes, we have 2 or 3 circles changing, and it seems like I8 have never really been making it to the final zones. And if that is not concerning, then what is? Because last, even when we came back in week number 3, I really thought that they would have worked over and fixed all those mistakes that they had made, but doesn't seem like so. They've been making it all over again, and those split fights, those unnecessary pickoffs. That initially you sort of forced into thinking that maybe they're trying something new, but that new
Right.
isn't really working, and as a result of it, it's sort of become a habit which they're not really able to rectify, and they need to address to this issue really soon, or else in the grand finals maybe someone else would be walking off with the $10,000.
Exactly, and just to add on to that, because again, we talk about Magnus Esports, a team that has been consistent throughout. Yes,
Yeah.
I8 were on a perfect record that they were converting very good points for themselves. As we saw in week 1, the massive lead that they created. But then after that, the faltering down that is being showcased from them is unexpected actually. But at the same point, I did actually bring up the same exact point yesterday with Shadow, so I'll ask you the same thing. Could it
Okay.
be intentional, perhaps? Could it be intentional so that they don't give away all of their strategies and keep a little bit of them for, of course, the grand finals?
No, I really think it's not the case, because
No.
no, intentional, definitely not, because they have legacy that has been created for them, in
True,
such a
true.
short span of time. Because I initially, when you talk about Pakistan region, names like QWERTY, names like Bablu, they are the ones who came up, who had the biggest fan base. But now, if you ask me, it is of course IH. They've got the biggest fan base. They've got the the best fans all around Pakistan and throughout the world, and they have something to prove. And making a mistake maybe for 1 week, that's understandable. Maybe you're trying out something new. But again, in week number 3, if that's carrying forward and that's putting you at the 16th position, then I'm certain it's a problem that they really need to address and fix. But talking about TUF, I think we have really seen a spike in their performance. Especially look at the survival time, which is increased exponentially, and that is something I really appreciate. And like you said yesterday, also the way they played, I think that has also come down to how TUF was dominating in week number 1, if you remember. I think finally
Exactly.
we're getting to see sort of the same TUF, especially Virus and Edgar, those 2 players really needing to step up. Yesterday Edgar did. Virus has been consistent. We would also want the others also to step up as well.
Oh, I'm sure that is going to be showcased today as well, because as I was talking about it, for TUF, the synergistic performances that they bring in, all the fights that I saw them in yesterday, they were absolutely on point. And that again is clearly being indicated and showcased based on the overall, the entire league's leaderboard itself, where of course all 50 games from week 1 are being counted. And in that, they've been able to accumulate so many points based on the consistency and sitting on the 3rd spot. So definitely looking forward to this. And of course, on the same front, we will actually see that in this performance graph that they have showcased, there are lots of ups and downs that have been witnessed from the side of TUF, but they always rise back up and they always learn from their mistakes. And that's the beauty of a really good team. That's the mindset that needs to be there for a team to be able to succeed.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I've been talking about, right? If you're learning from your mistakes, working on it, and improving, then you're on the right path. And certainly can't be
True.
said for I8 at this point, right? it's not about the rotations, right? We've seen them rotating pretty late inside the circle and still, managing to get chicken dinners even at the, the northernmost circle also. So that's not something new, or that's not, you cannot just say that, this circle wasn't really favoring them. But the biggest issue over here that I8 has been facing, like I said, they're getting picked off individually. And one of the major reasons is they're split, they kind of set in into those 1-1-1-1 or maybe 2-2 splits, which is clearly not working out. But maybe we hope it does today as we take a look at the schedule. So we're going to start things off with Sanhok. So that's going to be really interesting to see how these teams are going to fare off in this beautiful map, because I think Bootcamp might be up for grabs because Team QWERTY is not playing over here. Freestyle, North Esports, the Faulty Devils, all these 4 teams, they're going to sit it out. So it's between A, B, C and D. Then we have 2 matches of Erangel, and then we've got 2 games of Miramar. So back-to-back actions, coming in from the grasslands, and then we go to the deserts. But Lakshay, moment has arrived. Did you get any other predictions right?
No, not at all. In fact, yesterday we had a little bit of a game going on where we were actually... No, that didn't happen. That was a miscorrection.
No. I have a very vivid
because I
memory.
think it was changed in game itself, because I know that we had 5, but then the director, as I said, right, it was a little bit of a kerfuffle that was taking place. But never mind all that. For now, though, what team are you going to be picking? What team are you going to be choosing for this prediction, for this chicken dinner in the map of Sanhok?
All right. I mean, Sanhok, I think I want to go with TUF. We've been talking enough about them. Sanhok has been one of their strong suits, so TUF for me.
Right.
What about you?
All right, I'm going to leave the prediction to our director, and of course, this time around, he yesterday went against, and he did not want to choose, but today, I hope that he brings in one more point for that prediction that I've got. Let's see what team is he going to be picking for me. What team is it going to be that, according to our director, is going to be walking away with the chicken dinner? All right, Magnus coming up right now.
He's gone for Magnus. I mean, all right. Even the production seems to be supporting them, and let's hope for the best. 2 strong teams, and could be either of them. And TUF, Magnus, both of them have really strong Sanhok games, and I really hope he's not a fortune teller, or he's seen things in the future. Because if that happens, then I'm gonna rebel. But I think it really comes down. It's gonna be such a rocky start to the evening. Game of Sanhok, everything just goes bizarre. Everybody just going after each other. I think I am gonna anticipate an early fight around Bootcamp, because I'm gonna be of this assumption that they're gonna be those teams that hey, QWERTY is not there. Let's just try and drop over at Bootcamp. Let's just have the center to ourselves, because I think this is what we have witnessed in week number 3, especially.
Exactly.
I did cast the games in the day number 1. So one thing Shadow and I had witnessed very clearly was the fact that the teams are approaching the circle from the center this time. There's a lot of teams, just staying away from the edges, because that's clearly not working out. And the way the circle has been taking shapes, I mean...
It actually is mind-blowing the way. From week 1 itself, when you talk about the storyline, initially we saw default zones, default circles that were created. But then as we move on from that to week 2 and then now in week 3, definitely the zones have created an MVP of their own. I'll definitely say that. Right? But at the same point of time, you mentioned it perfectly. For week 3, a lot of changes that these teams are bringing in are actually working out. It is working out for Regicide, as we saw. 3x Esports, the way the changes from week 1 to week 3 are being looked at, again, it is still going to be up for grabs as to when we jump into the grand finals itself. Perhaps it'll be a different team altogether that could walk away with being on the number 1, and of course with all that money as well. There is definitely a possibility.
There is a possibility, of course. We've been talking about that, and in the grand finals, anything can happen. Maybe it could be some team from the 5th or 6th position just bombarding their way through, and explosive performance from their side, and they get that spot. But it's also about those top 6 teams that make it to the SA Championship. Right now, this is something that I have been really waiting for. I want to see who are the ones who are going to be representing the Pakistani flag, and it's not far away, right? It's just around the corner. Once we are done with the PMPL Pakistan, even the PMPL SA region, then we have the best of the best fighting it out, and we know what it is all for the GC slots, right? And we know
Exactly.
there have been, the circuit points also being there. So if you keep on winning, it really helps as well. But for the first game, we've of course made our predictions, just waiting for the matches to begin. And once it does, it's all gonna break loose, and it's gonna start in a wee while. We did
Oh,
talk,
yes.
we did discuss, about the big guns, right? We discussed about I8, we discussed about, Magnus. Tell me something about Regicide. How did they come
Well,
to the second position yesterday?
what a perfect game. What a perfect game from Regicide. Again, it's not only just that, the aggressiveness itself, right? The aggressiveness
Exactly.
that we in week one saw coming in from Magnus, from TUF, from I8, who were just slow, faltering a little bit in those fights as they took. But then day one later, day two onwards in week one itself, we saw I8 also bring in those points aggressively, walking away with
Right.
chicken dinners along with 12 finishes, 12 eliminations. And now Regicide is doing that 10 elimination game for themselves is definitely a good feat, right? And that definitely includes all the rotations, all the fights working out perfectly, and the best part is being synergistic about it and keeping all four members alive, which is something that we've been talking about since week one itself. There have been teams who end up taking fights, but their numbers advantage is where they then fall into a hasty position, even if the zone is favoring them. And that is where Regicide definitely beautifully set themselves up with, like I said, all four players. And as soon as one would go down, their entire force was to, of course, get that player picked up and revived and then push on for the other fight.
Oh, we certainly hope for. And I mean, the way Register has been playing, I think it's the battle for the top spot, right? Not a lot of points difference
Exactly.
between Magnus, just 2 points. That being said, the game is live, ladies and gentlemen. Even freestyle, as a matter of fact, they have been pretty consistent, getting two second position finishes, one fourth position finishes. Not a lot of, finishes though, but the position points have been really instrumental into where they stand right now at the third spot. H2E also have recovered a lot, but the flight path trajectory, basically just dissecting the map into two halves. And yeah, the boot camp is something that I'm really keen to look towards, because I think it's being left vacant. I can't believe my eyes. That's not supposed to happen, but indeed has, Lakshay.
Well, whenever the day starts off, see, for the teams as well, they want to be able to start the day off with a map like Erangel, perhaps, Miramar, perhaps, because it allows them to slow down the pace of the game. Right now, Sandhawk itself is, we know, a very, very small map. And if this game does not end up going in favor of these big names, then perhaps you starting the day itself with a little bit of a loss, right? That momentum that you want to be creating could very well go against. But right now, again, as we do have the zone, it is going to be very comfortably allowing all the teams to be a part of it. But where exactly will that first blood situation arise? To you, if we can see, Virus and the teammates are a little scattered, same as of course the case from Minishot's Halsey as well. But in time, I am sure that it is going to be fruitful, because they pretty much find themselves in the center. At the same point, 3x. Now, 3x esports actually at times confuses me, because the kind of drops this team and the players end up doing, but still end up making a perfect rotation and get all four players together. But initially, every single time 3x jumps on whichever map, they always are a little scattered across the entire board.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is something that even I've noticed, right? Even in Miramar, we see around those Picardo that huge splits, and
Right.
I think that's the way they like to play, right? They kind of do not like each other right from the start, get their solo individual loot done, and then just play the way they have to. And Miracle is, of course, one of those players that has to be talked about when it comes to 3x. He's the
Definitely.
one who's, putting majority of the efforts. He's the one who's got majority of the success in terms of how many eliminations he's secured. And there we have, talk about the man, and he appears himself. So then again, you have got Tyrant also in this team to add a little bit of more experience to the roster. We have seen Tyrant, at even better days. He's not at the best of his form, because the Tyrant I knew back in the days was a deadly assassin,
Oh,
and he used to
yes.
stop at nothing at all. So 3x, still there is that scope of improvement in how they've been playing, and I really hope they make some good work of it if they qualify for the grand finals.
Again, I mean, just to add on to that, correct me if I'm wrong. I see from the side of Tyrant from 3x a change in terms of the way that was the game was played from him earlier, and now the roles themselves have changed, and that's the reason why we see him more
Maybe.
at the backlines and in the front. Mary and Miracle are the ones from week one itself who are always bringing the name up from the side of 3x. Could be a possibility.
Yeah.
On the other front,
Yeah.
sorry, sorry.
No, no, go on.
On the other front, I was just going to talk about that. We spoke about TUF as well, and seems like TUF have themselves set up the player. Of course, Virus seems to have caught hold of Halsey. Now, again, for meter shot, Halsey, he's going to have to wait for his team. For TUF Virus, he's also going to have to wait for the team. And now, this early stalemate situation that ends up creating this the difference, that if you are not able to correct in the initial moments in the, like as swiftly as possible, then we have seen teams fall down and lose out on their numbers. Right now, of course, they're doing the all right, never mind. I was just going to say that right now they're playing the passive approach. It seems like they are not, as meter shots Khatir has moved in and he will be converting this into perhaps a point. But at the same point in time, from the backlines, we can see Team TUF's players have also reached the area. But yes, the loss will be taken for Virus has been eliminated from this game. But now it is all about converting those losses into points. But at the same point, can they do so? Edgar trying his level best, of course. But sadly, as of now, no conversion yet. On the backlines, though, Magnus also could perhaps have heard these shots and maybe could be actually keeping a keen eye out towards this side and maybe even bring in a third party, for which, of course, meter shot need to be careful of as well. But right now, meter shot, the only thing that they want are those points, and that's exactly why they are hammering on the players of TUF. TUF, all they can do is fall back, fall out of this position, and run for higher grounds perhaps.
Oh, they certainly will. And, I kind of get the reason as to why Meteor Shot Sky is where they are right now. We've been talking about this, right? The teams are prioritizing a lot on the centers. Now, when you talk about the style of play that Meteor Shot Sky believes in, they love playing around the edges. They love doing the late rotations. And this is where TUF, they were caught off guard. They really did not see this coming. And after getting that second knock, this is where they have that confidence to really go in for the push. Halsey pushing. And from his backlines, you can see Ash trying to provide him cover fire. And even further behind, you have other players as well. Khatir also, joining the fray, as Halsey does want to find that little bit of a flank angle, gets a little bit of altitude for himself. But TUF, they're on the verge of getting cornered over here. And there goes the Ramen coming in from Gully Boy. And this is where Gully Boy needs to make those moves. Halsey getting yet another knock on Joker. But Gully Boy needs to stay alive no matter what. As Thor's position and has been compromised, of course. A Molotov being tossed at that direction. It all comes down to Edgar and seems like he's also gonna fall as Ash just decimates him with that beautiful, beautiful DBS, and Thor barely with any HP surviving, has to take the fight, does manage to administer that first hit, gets a knock, would want to go greedy with that finish, does also get it for himself, but Gully Boy and the rest of MS Sky just charging at his direction with the DBS. Thor somehow managing to get yet another player, gets that finish, and there you go, Meteor Shot Sky wiping out TUF, but with two unwanted casualties. And you were right, Lakshay, Magnus smelled blood. And they are in for the finish.
What a perfect conversion, though it was from Thor once again, right? For TUF, even though he was losing out on his teammates and players, he was able to accumulate 2 elimination points before getting eliminated, the entire team getting eliminated. At the same point now, Meter Shot themselves have taken a massive loss as they are left down with only 2 players, 2 teammates remaining. And from all directions, Magnus is going to be jumping in and trying to just capitalize on this point, easily converting it into, of course, a knock. And right now, it seems like it is going to be Gully Boy who goes down from the side of Meter Shot. At the same point in time, the knock has been converted from Magnus's player as well as Dolan we saw going down. But again, numbers advantage will clearly be focused towards Magnus, and that in turn will help them accumulate 2 more points, 2 elimination points to start the day. And again, this is just 7 minutes into the game, 7-8 minutes into the game, and we're already looking at third parties taking place. We've already seen 2 teams get eliminated. And well, this is just the start to, of course, this deadly and very important day for these teams.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I love what Team Magnus have been doing, and between all that's happening, it's again 3x trying to get the hold of the center of the circle. Triple Esports, they did something different. They went off to bootcamp. Of course, I was just cribbing about the fact that how could bootcamp be left aside. because you get the best loot over there, best of it all, throughout the entire island is what you find there. But Team Bablu, we did see them get a chicken dinner, but their woes are not yet over. Would want to expect a little bit of a consistency from their side. If you remember week number 1, that is where we did see Team Bablu at their very best. And after that, it's been kind of a, spiraling down the staircase for these lads.
Yep.
But Team Magnus, they've been consistent ever since. And, my team dreams of getting my prediction right has been taken down, at least in this particular game. But the way Team Magnus has been playing, I think the position that they're also holding on to is really nice. Now, the best part I really liked about that fight against Meteor Shot Sky was the way they got those informations on those players. After that knock came in, they knew he was in that small little shack over there. All they had to do was just, draw him out with a Molotov. And he was clearly helpless. And the last player surviving could not do much over there. Got eliminated as well. But talking about different fights happening, I don't think we're going to see much of it. Maybe TMW or R3D, because TMW, look at them, using their vehicles and closing in on that distance against R3D. This could be a little bit of a dicey situation for them.
It is definitely going to be. In fact, as we spoke about when the day started off, right? You talk about 3G. This, again, the consistent play is what we want to be able to see. And right now, again, it is not going to be an easy task for that consistent play to be showcased. But at the same point, we know that it only in a couple of minutes, there are going to be a lot more casualties taking place right here, as we once again have the zone constricting onto itself. You were talking about bootcamp. Again, this zone can go either ways as of now. There is still all the possibility for Magnus's position to be taken away, and perhaps, you just spoke about Bablu yesterday.
Yep.
Bablu were the ones who walked away with the chicken dinner on the map of Sanok, so there is going to be a chance for Bablu to be able to retain that chicken dinner win that they got yesterday in this game to start the day off as well. The only thing for Bablu that at times worries me is the split that they start the game with every single time. They've always got that 2-man split, and they love to play it like that. I don't know how well is it working, because at times we've seen the ups and downs taking place from Bablu and their gameplay, and maybe that is the reason. I'm not entirely sure, but I would definitely keep my fingers crossed that they get a good game in this one, because their position is looking very comfortable.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, because Team Bablu, they've gone a little bit north of Painan, right? And they're kind of being surrounded. Triple Esports, I like their position. They've got control over those hills. And if Team Bablu isn't really careful about that, they might have to pay a hefty price. But 3X, they are the ones right now at the heart of the zone. All they are just going to hope is for those central shifts to occur. But we also know we're yet to see that curveball, hit on us and on these players to have more clearer picture of what's really going to happen. R3D also at a very commanding position, having control over the hills over there. They have a lot of vision, a lot of information being relayed to each other. And look at the spread, the way they have, gotten themselves out at. Looking very calm, very composed. But I8 might just be in a contestation against Team Star.
Uh-oh.
Both these teams really close to each other. God Fury has already spotted out Ghost. Now, this is what I was talking about. Again, a split. Now, this is where goes God Fury. Just waiting for that opportunity. And indeed, it has to be Usama who opens it up. And there you go. Again, I8. This is not something that, you could see happening to them. Right out in the open, not anticipating the threat and being punished for that.
Not like this. There should be at least trades taking place, but right now it's all favored towards the players of Team Star.
Far apart.
And again, as the day started off, we were just talking about it, how I8's performance is going back to square one from week one itself. And again, it is the same exact lackluster fight that they are taking, which in turn, of course, has resulted in them definitely losing out on 2 players. Let's see what the other 2 remaining ones are going to be doing. And it seems like, they're on the run for now, as Team Star are easily going to be able to get IQ's elimination point for themselves as well. But now, what exactly is Team Star going to be doing? What exactly are they thinking? I'm just trying to look at the map and trying to figure out, because Team Star is coming in from the eastern side, if I'm not mistaken. and they need to be making a rotation to find a comfortable spot. Yep, there we have it. Of course, Team Star making an entry from the eastern side and being at the edge of the zone right now. They don't need to worry about anything but
Oh.
I8 because there's no team in the vicinity. Ouch.
Oh,
Ouch.
this is getting worse. Team I8. Now just survived by Uzum. Usually it's Uzum who is the one who scouts for the team, takes the risks. But like we've discussed, right? It's the same old problems
Yep.
persisting for them, and they haven't come out with a solution. All these huge splits, the way they kind of trying to, gain so much of ground, and it's clearly not helping them. And now they're just on the verge of getting wiped out. But this is what we were waiting for, and I think
Oh,
Triple
yes.
Esports, they're gonna be really happy, and so will the players of R3DB as well. H2E, they really need to cross over the bridge. But considering the fact that Triple Esports have that little bit of a higher ground to themselves, it's gonna be a tough task, especially even with the grounders right on their tails.
Indeed. And in fact, the same thing I wanted to point out for R3D as well, because we saw them earlier. They were at a little bit of a higher ground, and that in turn could favor them because from the north, there is absolutely no team rotating, and they should definitely have all the auditory cues that we can see right now. TMW using those vehicles to make that rotation, and that I'm sure R3D's players would have heard already. On the other front, as Team Star now have nothing to worry about, they now can be troublesome for Magnus or vice versa, because both these teams are coming in from the east. But on our screens, of course, we do have Triple Esports, as Fixes did just mention perfectly, the position that they're in, and of course the awareness that they're showcasing those fights with in week 3 especially is looking very good for Triple Esports right now, as they have their crosshairs set against the players of Team Bablu, as Bablu is hunky-dory in a small compound, and it's only a matter of time where one of those nades, if at all it connects, Triple Esports will have an opening to get these points, as well as of course eliminate a very big threat that is going to be in the name of Team Bablu. But for now, again, those nades are being utilized from both the directions. Sadly, no conversion, no damage has been brought out yet. My word, and there we have Bablu's Wolf taking a little bit of a damage, but of course he was able to spot out Triple Esports' Thug. Now, Thug needs his teammates ASAP.
He does. But I don't think, they're going to come to his aid right now. I think what they can do is try to provide cover from the hills, right? Look at the minimap on the top right of our screens over here. They have their attention, and Team Bablu knows that Thug did have the rooftops. Now has enough time, has indeed retreated behind to those rocky covers that he has for himself, and Team Bablu kind of trying to use that isolate and take over tactics, just smoking just to ensure none of those grenades really go coming in. But at the same time, I mean, they have nobody else to worry apart from Triple Esports, at least as of this moment. Now Triple Esports are well aware of Team Bablu's position. Now the only thing that I would really like Triple Esports to do over here is try and close in the gap, because what they've done is they've kind of threw smokes over their windows, which kind of in turns blocks their views also, and the smoke has apparently dissipated. So it's a little bit of a situation for Triple Esports. They gotta still make sure they have information of the other teams that are also trying to close in. So Regicide for sure knows that there's someone over these hills. They've heard all those gunshots, but H2E, they've managed to station themselves inside of boot camp, and we haven't really seen a lot of boot camp zones. But let's see, this could be the first of many.
It definitely is looking likely to be the case, but we'll have to see if H2 is positioning in that bootcamp will be able to help them out or not. H2 is actually another team that we should bring up and mention when it comes down to the rotations, but we'll bring that question later, as right now Magnus Esports are the ones who are taking on those shots. They have the awareness of their opponents, and it is going to be none other than Quraish. Now Quraish, we spoke about at the start in the pre-game segment itself, their gameplay has faltered a little bit in terms of the stats that we saw. At the same point of time, this fight is not looking likely to be in their favor, because Magnus Esports clearly have the higher ground, and alongside all of that, look at that zone moving away towards R3D. This game, R3D is being awarded this game if they can capitalize on that position from up top on that hill.
It could also be someone that takes over. Maybe it could also be Stars game, but we do have a fight in front of us. Mani, of course, getting that knock onto it, Zen, and Quraish Esports says Jaguar finds another one on Firo from 52 Esports. Now, Quraysh have to be really careful in order of the fights that they're really engaging in. You can't afford to, engage in 2 battles, especially when one of them is Team Magnus as faster. Just trying to unload his magazine, trying to connect those bullets right inside that smoke. But these grenades are going to get that important confirmation on Zen that Quraysh Esports needs at this very moment. Not having the best of position to take those fights though, but slowly and surely just inching in the gap closer a little bit as Faster tries to spray on with his M4, gets the better out of Hasni. Jaguar has taken some massive amount of damage. This is where Sardachi needs to provide that quintessential cover fire, but Jaguar comes out in the open, but still not getting taken down. Faster somehow manages to hold on as Drolin with a beautiful grenade just shuts down that flank, takes down Money in the process, but Jaguar does get a beautiful trade in the form of Faster as the players of Team Magnus just try and come in as he goes in for a prone shot but gets taken down by Zen as Drolin and Zen, 2 of those players surviving. It is against Sardaji as Team Magnus have done it yet again, but do they have enough time to get those important resurrections back up? That's a big question, and doing something really something that I like, taking their vehicles inside, on top of a car. But can they make it into safety? Because, yeah, I was just about to get there and it really happened.
Exactly. They will have to deal with the loss of Faster, of course, but at the same point in time, they will be able to retain at least 3 players, and alongside all of that, 6 defeat points converted for them. But now they have also given away their position, and the other teams from the backlines can very well damage them a little. But right now, it's going to be 50 Esports' Jojo, who seems to have spotted Magnus and their rotation. Of course, the visible vehicle can be seen, and now Jojo can be the thorn that, of course, Magnus did not anticipate. And just like that, oh, this is going to hurt them quite a lot. They did not anticipate this whatsoever at all. And now it seems like Jojo, the fight was his. The point could have been his. But from a third-party distance far away, he himself will be knocked out. And Magnus will have another opportunity to survive for just a little bit more. And Drolin, the only player who can provide that cover at the same point, perhaps even bring a revival. But this is the 5th zone. It is not going to be easy on the health of these players from Magnus. So chances for Magnus are looking slim, but on the other front, once again, as we look at that zone, R3D very much in control.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. And 52 Esports know that Team Magnus has just survived by one of their players, and it's going to be Drolin, who is in a very bad position. Now has been spotted out as well. 5911 will be relaying all that information. But look at Drolin just trying to, bait him out, forcing him into making mistakes as Team Bablu. They're starting to fall down and trying to get inside the circle. I told you, the circle never stays at boot camp, and indeed went a little bit northeast, favoring the lads of R3D as Tuntanatan will fall down to the zone. But Teen Wolf would, of course, want to get that finish before getting taken down himself. But seems like Teen Wolf goes out and Team Bablu bows out from the lobby at the 13th spot with just 2 finishes to their name.
Indeed. I mean, the late rotation from them definitely do not favor them. On the other front, as we look on towards another fight, it seems like Magnus's Drolin is trying to push into the zone, but there are so many other teams. But it seems like before he's going to go down with that zone, he's going to get another point converted. 7 defeat points confirmed for the side of Magnus, but at the same point, he has been caught out from the Blues, and 52 Esports are the ones who are definitely bringing in a lot of points. I8, the final player, does get eliminated as well. Thus, the team remaining are only 26 players, and along with that, the trouble of the zone just keeps on brewing more and more, because another 2 seconds and the zone is going to be constructing once again. These teams, they are all getting burnt down because of how tricky the zone and the rotations have become.
Indeed. Now, this game clearly looks like R3D's game to lose, Lakshay, because the way they have taken control over the map, they have the best spot, they have the hills, and the only way that they can be taken down from the King of the Hills position is if all the teams strike at the same time, which is quite rare to happen, because you're of course scared before you try and take a climb, because you also have to get inside the zone. Paddy, of course, has himself situated at a good spot. Even Team Star, I was talking about them, right? I knew the circle would be taking that little bit of an eastern shift, and they have taken good ground over there as well. But Anubis getting onto his ways, getting on the fragger board over here, and capitalizing on that little high ground advantage that he had as TMW. They have their attention focused in on the players of Team Star.
Absolutely, and Team Star themselves are keeping a keen eye out towards the players of R3D as well. Now, Team Star, you perfectly pointed out, they could have a chance of getting this game from that Eastern rotation. It has worked out perfectly for them, but now they're going to have to make a space for them to be able to get this fight. At the same point, R3D from up top of that hill is bringing and hammering down those bullets against their opponents, of course, and in that, they are doing a world of trouble for the players of TMW as they are on their last breath trying to get into the zone, but there's no way M7 is going to be allowed this luxury as R3D get points converted again and again. But at the same point, it seems like TMW's Korma from a different angle altogether is going to be damaging the position of R3D. Thus, in turn, R3D, the perfect aggressive streak that they were upon, now seems to be fading away as Team H2E have capitalized on this fight, and of course that one elimination point has been converted for them, but more importantly, of course, the position that they were able to take away. But all in all, Team Star, what a perfect rotation this was.
Oh yeah, indeed. And look at this. Now they are actually in contention of trying and winning this game because H2E, they've managed to take down Hawk, and Fatty has also been taken down as well. Now H2E, they're taking in deep. They've gotten their nails just a little bit deeper. As Dread seems to have spotted out Reaper quite in the open. Will have no trouble securing that knock, but instantly want to get that finish. As Kurama's position also pretty much visible as TMW one after the other just melting as the final three teams remain. It could be Team Star, it could be R3D, or maybe H2E.
Absolutely. For Team Star, they have the numbers advantage working for them. For H2E, they've got a little bit of a momentum being created right here. And in all, of course, R3D, they are just trying to get those revivals done on their teammates. Numbers advantage definitely going to be in favor of Team Star, but now they need to be able to utilize this numbers advantage for themselves and get the points. And that's exactly what they'll do as they try and, of course, snipe out where the players of H2E are. The final two players, they of course know in the lobby there are only two opponents remaining, and just like that, God Fury's perfect aggressive streak over there will confirm the game for himself, and Dread will do the rest in return. This is going to be Team Star walk away with a chicken dinner for the first game on the Sananok map.
Oh yeah, and this is something that we really love, right? Team Star coming in, get themselves overall on that 10th position, and 10 eliminations, 25 points secured from this game. It all started with them, dealing with the lads from Team I8. Two players being taken down, had that eastern area completely under control, and they just went in. Nothing too fancy, but they were very careful with their movements while they were getting inside the circle. Did not let anybody from the peripheries of the circle try and get them. And it was a clean chicken dinner for these lads. Did not even have to, put down any sort of sweat or anything at all. It was a well-deserved, well-earned one. But someone that had to lose it was, of course, R3D. Now, I'm starting to wonder why. Because was it because of their late rotation? Because they had two of their players inside the zone. The other two players kind of got engaged against H2E, and as a result of it, had to face the brunt. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we're going to be pushing for a short little break, because right after, we're going to be back with the post-game analysis. A beautiful game of Sanhok is what we had to witness, right? Again, the circle favoring the Brave, and the Brave coming out as the conquerors. Were Team Star, of course, R3D really missing it out. But it was all about, again, the center of the circle. Nothing really, out of the world. This is what we have been witnessing from week number 3. And, teams like Meteor Shot Sky also playing quite different from their style of play. As taking a look at the MVP has to be God Fury. I still remember that first opening knock he managed to secure on Ghost over there, while his teammate got the better out of I8, just crippling down the players of I8. And then from then onwards, they never looked behind. respected the zone, 6 eliminations to their names, 459 points of damage. Well done by this lad.
Absolutely splendid start to the day for the side of course, Team Star. Alongside that, as we look at the players to focus along with the MVP, is going to be Drawlin coming in from Magnus. Again, he was the final player that we saw try and level out the playing field against his running opponents to get into the zone. But of course, that in turn resulted in Drawlin's Magnus walking away with 7 elimination points. But after that, of course, we do have, of course, Team H2E to bring up as well as, of course, Tarzan and his again the rotation that I've noticed from Team H2E, especially in week 3, has been definitely on point to the best performing teams in the lobby.
Oh yeah, I mean the way they've been playing, I'm loving it. But taking a look at the match rankings over here, Team Star 25 points, but H2E, I think they're the ones being really consistent. And we were talking about that little bit of a battle brewing up for that top spot. And H2E might have just inched in that gap in terms of the overall rankings. R3D as well. I mean, not the kind of a performance that we expected. We really thought that they would walk with the chicken dinner, but it's something that's really promising. 14 points out of it. And TMW, especially when we're talking about those bottom 4 teams, this is one of those names that pop up. And getting 10 points out of this game is a good start, I must say.
Definitely a very good conversion. Again, for R3D, you perfectly mentioned right there that R3D, they should have, of course, right now we'll have a look at the Oppo F21 Pro moments and perhaps things are going to get a little bit more clear. But what I noticed from the side of R3D, they got one knock, and I think it was H2E's players who took a player down from R3D. And after that, the entire fight was just completely fizzled out from R3D's side.
Yeah, I think it was all about, the players again. They're staying a lot longer on the hills. But 52 Esports, I really loved that little bit of an aggression that we could get to see from their side as well. And this is where things went really tumbling down, right? They got themselves tunnel vision, and this is the perfect time, the opportunity that H2E were looking out for, right? For the team R3D to take a fight against somebody else. You get the knock at this situation, at this moment. Of course, you would want to secure those finishes, but that is not a smart move, right? Because H2E, they were right below the hills. They were waiting for their moment to strike, and indeed they did that. And once it was all done and dusted, Team Star knew this was their cue where they had to go in. And look at those massive points of damage coming in for almost from every team, barring I8, who couldn't fire a single bullet.
That is something that you don't see that often, of course, from the side of I8. But this, again, you compare this same damage graph from week 1's play, and now all the teams are taking on fights because they have understood the lobby, they have understood the rotations. And you perfectly mentioned it, and Shadow did yesterday as well, that in week 3 the teams are playing from the center, and that in turn definitely is helping them be a part of many more fights. But yeah, the zone, it favors nobody. Team Star, what a splendid conversion this was.
And it was a much needed one, right? Because if you talk about their week number 3's so far performance and progress wasn't really good. But this is going to give them some crucial points and will bolster them up maybe towards that top 10, if I'm not wrong. But taking a look at the overall ranking, there you go, right? Team H2E right at the 2nd spot. Magnus Esports not really ending at a good position, but still managed to get some 7 to 8 elimination points. So as a result, they do have that 5 points lead against Team H2E. But Regicide, well, haven't really seen them in action in this particular game. They'll be... indeed, they were there, but could not see a lot from their side. I do not really know what happened to them, but I'm pretty sure they did not collect a lot of points.
True. They were making a rotation from the southwest of the zone, of the 3rd zone. And then onwards, of course, we saw the zone just kept on shifting towards the northeastern side of the map, right? And from bootcamp, it went further up more. And that in turn just completely fizzled out the approach that, of course, Regicide must have had. And to get into the zone, we saw it was a chaotic mess. There were so many teams and players running to get into the zone, and of course they were just getting more down. But look at that performance from Team Star, pushing them 6 position jump from this chicken dinner play.
Oh yeah, and this is what I was talking about, right? Just a little shy from entering into the top 10, but I'm pretty sure if they keep on playing like this, they are going to be there. And Team Star is again one of those teams. If you talk about the previous iterations of the PMPLs that we have witnessed in this region, they're the late bloomers. So they're starting to step it up in the 3rd week, and if they kind of continue doing that, then I think they're really on a good roll at this point. But as we take a look at the schedule, ladies and gentlemen, now it is going to be the map of Erangel, Lakshay, and it is going to be Group E finally making their mark coming in, and Group D, they will have to sit this one out.
Absolutely, and that in turn, of course, will provide a little bit of a new change of pace in terms of in the lobby itself. And well, starting like I was talking about it, starting the day on Sandhawk definitely is not the kind of play that teams would have liked. But again, you have to get into that thirst needs to be showcased from the start of the day, and that in turn was a perfect Sandhawk map. But now, as we do have, of course, Erangel coming up. Let's see what is going to happen on Erangel. I mean, I really want to be able to this time around not allow the director to choose. I do want to actually go ahead with my prediction, but before we bring up that, what team do you want to pick for this one, Fixes?
I mean, if it's Erangel, I would really like Team Freestyle to get a chicken dinner. I would love to see a battle for that top spot getting a lot more interesting, because yeah, Magnus has a decent lead. If Team Freestyle gets a chicken dinner in this one, they're going to be right at the top. What about you, Lakshay?
Well, that is definitely a good pick, but at the same point, now on this map, I want to see if TUF can actually bring their themselves to the table and walk away with a chicken dinner.
All right.
I am double guessing myself actually, because T20 Quarry and TUF, these are the two. Just one exactly. Just one I can pick. All right, TUF then. TUF is the one that I'm going to pick for this
redemption
one.
Story for them is what you're
yes,
expecting,
definitely.
because that was definitely not a TUF kind of a start that they had in Sanhok, just getting obliterated, and it was for all the obvious reasons, right? You have to expect the unexpected, and Meteor Shot Sky, they never rotate that early, and today they did. And what were the odds of finding TUF in the mids? And even if TUF had won that fight somehow or the other, they would have had to, just go on and face Magnus, and that wouldn't have been pleasant. Gosh.
Exactly, they had already lost out on their players, and Magnus was just keeping a very keen eye towards that fight. And as soon as they saw a little bit of an opportunity, Magnus rushed in, pushed in, and of course that converted into a perfect start to the day. But again, well, Fixes, for now, what
for me, it's
team
freestyle.
are you choosing?
You've got
freestyle,
TUF.
right?
Yeah. Freestyle
Nice.
and TUF for both of us, and it's gonna get updated with the swish of my hands. It's just the latency delay. I mean, I'm telling you, it was timed to perfection. But yes, TUF, they're kind of looking towards getting that little bit of a vengeance in themselves, and for all the right reasons, right? But even, I think Team Koti wouldn't have been a bad choice. But I haven't really seen a lot of success stories from their side in Erangel especially, right? I think it's more to do with the games of Miramar. Where they've come out on top with those chicken dinners. And one of the major reasons is, haven't really seen more of those eastern circles, right, Lakshay? And every single time they have to get inside the zone where it's kind of a default Gatka one, and they have to face so many of those teams. And that is one of those issues that they really need to address. Now, for me, going with freestyle, I mean, they've been on a roll this week. They've been playing really well. Even in the first day, I remember they managed to get a chicken dinner in that final game that we had for themselves. So this is where I think Team FS, I think finally have managed to, just weed out all those problems and make sure that they are in a good position to contest for that, top spot that they're going up against Magnus with. But again, can't really rule out Magnus, right? One of the best teams, rather the best team in Erangel. Every single time they come in, even if they do not get a chicken dinner, the amount of eliminations that they get, what do we say?
Exactly, right? It's all about converting points for yourself from the battleground, and that is what Magnus does gracefully as they take on those fights. Even in this one, we saw the final player Drawlin was being hurt down from the Blues from the 5th and 6th zone, but still was more focused on getting those points converted. At the same point, I mean, we've spoken about all these teams that are doing really well. What are your expectations from I8 this time around?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not really expecting much from their side. The way they've been playing, unless and until they start sticking up with each other, I think that's the way they might find some respite. But it's definitely not a circle that really helps I8 and in their endeavors, because now they have to go all the way down to the southern side. And you know what happens when they try and do that, right? It's mostly for the
Exactly.
vehicles. They kind of get into a kerfuffle against the lads of Team Magnus, and at this point, I8 would want to avoid that fight at any cost.
They have to. They must. They must prioritize that. But at the same point, from the side of I8, when it comes to their drop location, it has always been that Susanova military base, and that in turn, of course, does end up affecting their game as well. But right now, of course, the flight path majorly focused towards the northern side of the map.